In this video, we'll be taking our first look into the Kong drum designer. The first thing we notice when we pull up Kong is the pad section. Each of these pads relates to one drum sound. Let's hear a few of these in this basic 808 kit I have pulled up. As you can see, to the left of the pad section, we have settings for each pad. These settings control the level, the pan, the overall tone, auxiliary sends and bus effects, as well as pitch and decay for each drum. To the right of the pads, we have another set of pad settings, this time for mute and solo, as well as clearing any mute or solos, mute groups, linking or alternates, drum assignments, and hit types. The creation and shaping of each drum sound is done through another window. By clicking the Show Drum and Effects button in the lower left-hand corner of the Kong, we open up the drum module. Kong is a modular drum designer, meaning that there are several sources that we can use to either generate or replay any sound that we have loaded. The first that we see here by default is the NN Nano sampler. This is like a mini version of the NN19 or the NN-XT. The second is the Nurse Rex loop player, and this is similar to a miniature version of the Dr. Octorex loop player. The third is physical bass drum modeling. We also have physical snare drum modeling, physical tom modeling, synth bass drum, synth hi-hat, synth snare, and synth toms. After the module that creates the sound or replays the sample, we have two effect slots, and we have our choice of several effects. We can choose a compressor, a filter, overdrive resonator, parametric EQ, a rattler, a ring modulator, room reverb, tape echo, and a transient shaper. We also have the option to include noise or tone generators. When we open the drum module window, we see the drum module and the effects chain for whichever pad is selected in the pad window. Right now I'm selected on Cowbell Basic. If I click Lo-Fi Mid-Tom instead, we'll see a new chain. So every pad is given its own module and two effect slots. We also have two global effect slots that work in slightly different ways. We have a bus effect slot, and the depth of the effect in the bus effect slot can be set per pad by using the bus effects knob. We also have a master effects slot, which will affect all of the drum sounds altogether. In addition to these internal effects routings, we can also route the drums to individual outputs to use external effects or external mixing. And if we flip to the back of the rack, we can see here on the right that Kong has 16 individual outputs. Each pad has a gate trigger in and out. Our two auxiliary sends are in stereo, and we have the same sequencer gate and CV controls as we see in many of the other devices. We also have modulation input for volume, pitch, and mod wheel on a global basis, an audio input, the ability to CV control our bus effects parameters, as well as breakout jacks for external effects, and the ability to control our master effects parameters. The Kong Drum Designer is an incredibly powerful device. It can handle samples, it can handle loops, it can break loops down into small sections that it calls chunks, it can synthesize its own sound, and has a healthy selection of effects. As we break these sections down and review them individually, you'll see the true depth of this device. Now that we've looked at all of the basic functions of Kong, let's move on to the next video about the pads. Thanks for watching.